Here, after securing the western part of the canal, Ukrainians launched the next phase of the operation, crossed the canal, and started taking Klishchivka into a pocket. After the Russians lost control over the forest, this part of their defense line became rather weak. Not only did Russians suffer from pervasive crossfire, but their supplies were extremely undermined due to the extensive visual control over the fields and not a lot of roads. Ukrainians exploited this weakness by unleashing their artillery on the main Russian logistical center of this group, Andrivka. So the time worked in Ukrainian favor, and while Ukrainians conducted operations in another place, Russian troops in this region started suffering from shortages of basic equipment. This was a perfect time for breaching the Russian defense. In order to swiftly penetrate Russian positions, clear as much ground as possible, and prevent Russians from even considering to counterattack, Ukrainians used tanks. The tanks advanced along the tree belts and used high explosive shells to demolish Russian trenches and any other fortifications. Each such raid was immediately followed by an infantry assault that completely cleared and secured positions. The assaults on the eastern bank of the canal were extremely successful because Ukrainians managed to advance by up to 1.5 kilometers towards Klishchivka, slowly penetrating the Russian rear. And this is extremely important because the whole southern Bakhmut's flank relies on just two powerful fortifications, one north of Klishchivka and one west of Klishchivka. The fact that Ukrainians have advanced by 1.5 kilometers means that one of these two fortifications has fallen. If we look at the satellite footage, we can see that this was an incredibly powerful strong point, which basically consists of a net of trenches right near the tree line. So, by conducting such a rapid advance, Ukrainians took Russians by surprise with such deep penetration, not giving them a chance to properly man and equip such a formidable structure. Ukrainian 3rd Assault Brigade counted on such development of the events and was ready to push Russians non-stop. The moment the positions got cleared, Ukrainian assault units got deployed to the next one. The fighters entered Russian fortifications and steadily cleared the trenches and took captives. But this is only the beginning. Unfortunately for Russians, Ukrainians have also simultaneously capitalized on their recent gains in and around the forest to develop the second axis of advance that bypassed Klishchivka and slowly set conditions for the encirclement of the main Russian fortification. Today, multiple Ukrainian fighters from different detachments reported that Ukrainians have finally pushed Russians out of the forest. One fighter stated that today the forest north of Klishchivka was indistinguishable from hell. Russian sources reported that Ukrainian artillery was so concentrated on this particular region as if they aimed to erase them from the ground. Ukrainian soldiers claim that this night is decisive, and if they manage to secure the newly gained positions, then Russians will have to start packing. Overall, Ukrainians have penetrated Russian defense simultaneously from two sides and are effectively encircling the most powerful Russian fortification in this region. Ideally, they would aim to take it without a fight because not only is it one of the most extensive trench networks developed, but it is also located on a hill and near the village, which makes it very easy to supply the troops. It looks like this is not going to matter, and Russians are going to retreat to avoid being taken into a pocket. In fact, Ukrainian intelligence reports that Russian commanders have already started moving their command posts further away from Klishchivka, which signals that the level of confidence in Russian defense is very low.